For more on Greece's referendum and the country's debt crisis, I'm joined by Constance Baroudos. She's a policy analyst and program director at the Lexington Institute, a public policy think tank. Clock's ticking. What happens next?
We make a deal.
How soon?
That remains to be seen. The issue right now is that Greece's banks are running out of cash. Some estimates claim that they will run out of cash tomorrow, on Wednesday. The big date next week is that a lot of pensions and public sector wages are due. Will Greece have the money? Will they have to give out IOUs?
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people don't understand what's going on the ground there. We can talk about the past and the present. The present, currently, talking about IOUs, there are people who go to work every day, they don't get paid. You've got people with advanced degrees, can't get jobs. Unemployment rate skyrocketing. How do those people come up with the money to make the creditors happy?
Exactly. It's a very difficult situation, and that's why I like to highlight that it's potentially going to create a humanitarian crisis. If people do not have money to get the food they need or medical supplies, such as, insulin for diabetics or whatnot, you're going to have people that are hungry, that are in pain, that aren't able to get the medical supplies that they need. So really, are Greece's creditors ready to take responsibility for that? It's in essence blood on their hands without blood.
Well, Giannis was quick to call it a humanitarian crisis. He talked about the little boys and girls who have to study with candlelights because they don't have enough to pay for the electricity. One would say, and there's been this argument, that in order to get the money into the coffers, the tax dollars into the coffers, you have to kind of grow the economy instead of going the other direction. But that argument seems to fall on deaf ears. How do you change or frame this differently?
Which is why the IMF report last week was such a big deal. And I can't believe that the media is not paying enough attention to this. The IMF report said that Greece's debt is unsustainable. We made mistakes with the austerity measures, that Greece should not be required to make any payments for 20 years until the economy can stand on its feet.
This, one would think, would embolden Portugal, some of these other countries also being constricted. I mean, how do you see this thing playing out? And then there's been talk, of course, about Greece perhaps leaving the Eurozone.
I believe Greece and its creditors will make a deal. Now, will it be easy to get to that point? No. But look at what happens if they don't make a deal with Greece. It'll have to potentially, first of all, the Greek people don't want to leave the euro. They don't want to go to the drachma. They want to stay in. They will not voluntarily leave the euro. They will be squeezed out if the ECB does not extend its liquidity program to have cash for the people. They may be squeezed out and may have to revert to IOUs or very least likely to the drachma, but they don't want to do that. So, and then what will the Prime Minister do? Well, he's been having discussions with kind of China and Russia as plan B. I don't really think we want to go there, but I definitely think that Europe and Greece's creditors need to think about the issues here. Because remember, Greece is a NATO ally. It's also a part of the European Union. Those are both consensus-driven organizations, meaning each member has to agree on decisions being made. So if something bad happens with Greece, it could potentially affect discussions in regards to sanctions on Russia, in regards to it invading Ukraine, as well as potentially cause issues with the nuclear negotiations going on with Iran.
Plus, there's also the cascading effect. We've seen in the past when an economy in one country goes one way, it's almost a domino effect. It can affect other countries as well. What's your take on that?
Well, what if Greece is squeezed out of the euro? And yes, they will suffer very hard and difficult times, but the Greek people will find a way. They've always found a way. What if it becomes a success story? Then you completely worry about other weaker nations in the euro. What if they see, hey, maybe this isn't benefiting us? After all, the world-renowned known economist Milton Friedman warned against the euro. He stated that having countries with such political diversity, it's so difficult to have one common currency. He stated that as early as 1999.
Constance, you have friends, family in Greece.
I do.
How do they describe the situation there?
I have close friends and family that, again, have competitive degrees like computer science, where if they just jumped to California, they would be making lots of money and be very successful, but they're not able to find jobs. And if they do, they work for 6 months, and guess what? Their employer then tells them, I have to lay you off. I can't pay you. I know older people that are going to the banks to collect their pensions. I'm talking about 80-year-old grandmothers. Pensions have been capped at 120 euros. This particular person that I'm referring to was used to getting over 600 euros. Now, a younger person can hustle, find a way to make things work. What do you do with an 83-year-old woman that isn't in prime health condition?
It's a good question. We'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming in, Constance. A pleasure. Thank you.